And Ed was the first wrestler of the family, right?
Ed was the father, and he was a wrestler, probably was the town champion of Pawhuska and Salazar. So Big Ed's his history goes back as a Cherokee Indian, all the way back to the eastern tribe of the Cherokees. They would have migrated west. His family would have migrated west on the Trail of Tears. That they took the Indians from the east and moved them out toward Illinois. The Trail of Tears is actually just like a quarter of a mile from my house. It runs here at the ranch. It runs down to the Ohio River, where they would have crossed over into Illinois on their way to Oklahoma and Texas and Arkansas. And Big Ed
Now
Welch's
you told me
family-
there's a natural bridge there that they crossed on, because anybody knows the Ohio, it's a big ass river.
Yeah, we got a natural bridge down here. It's called Mantle Rock. And the winter that they came through, they spent the winter under that rock waiting for the river to freeze over. And then they walked across the river once the water froze over to Illinois. And my great-great-great-grandmother left the Trail of Tears and met my great-great-grandfather and settled here, and that's where my family comes from. So that's Big Ed Welch's family would have been in that migration. He met a lady named Bertie Sumter Welch in Fort Smith, Arkansas. Her family line goes back to early U.S. settlers in North Carolina and Virginia. They migrated as farmers down to Oklahoma and Arkansas, and her ancestors were in the Confederate Army in the Civil War. They married in the year of 1900, and they had 7 children, and 5 of those children ended up in the wrestling business. We don't know 2 of the kids' names. They're not documented, and I couldn't find any history of them anywhere. But the 5 kids that they had, the oldest was Roy Welch, who's going to be the focus of our shows over the next couple of weeks. Jack Welch was their second son. Herb Welch was the third son. Lester Welch was the youngest son, and Bonnie Welch was the daughter who ended up marrying Virgil Speedy Hatfield. And so Roy is the father of Buddy Fuller, and Buddy Fuller is the father of Ron Fuller and Robert Fuller. Roy's daughter, Ruby Welch, married a fella named Bill Golden. And Bill Golden had a brother, Phil Golden, and he was the father of Jimmy Golden. So out of the Roy Welch line, you have the Fullers and the Goldens.
How many in total did you count up at one time?
I think in 72 or 73, I counted up to 30 family members working in the professional wrestling business.
That's the reason I claim them the most powerful family, and they promoted all over the world, but we'll get into this.
Jack Welch had a daughter, Joan Welch Phillips, and as far as I know, Joan wasn't in the business. Herb Welch had 2 boys, Doyle and Bobby, that both were in the business. Lester Welch had 2 sons, Jackie and Roy Lee. We were both in the business. Bonnie and Virgil Hatfield had 3 sons, Albert Lee, Donald Wayne, and Luther Eugene, and they were Lee, Don, and Bobby Fields.
Wow.
And they had kids, Ricky, Johnny Wayne, Shane, and Randy Fields. And they all worked in the business as wrestlers except Shane and Randy, and they were referees. So we have all of those people working in the wrestling business as the family tree goes up through the 80s and the 90s.
And Ed was the first wrestler of the family, right?
Ed was the father, and he was a wrestler, probably was the town champion of Pawhuska and Salazar.
And he was a Cherokee.
He was a Cherokee, yep. He sure was.
And when we come to the Trail of Tears, where did he come from? Did he come from the Carolinas? Did he come from Florida?
I think Ed was born as they had already moved into Arkansas or Oklahoma, but his family moved from North Carolina.
Yeah.